Alright, let's go through a few Venn diagram problems. So I'm going to be using print screen tool to copy things over to Paint, and we will cross out some things. So this first question here shows different gems, and it asks how many of them are rubies. So first thing you need to do is look at the circles. So this circle here is rubies, and this circle here is triangles. So this circle here shows all of the rubies. So the first question asks is how many are rubies? Well, that's pretty straightforward. There's 4 in there. How many of the gems are triangles? Well, you can see that this here is the triangle circle, so everything in this is a triangle. So you should be able to see that there's 3 triangles. And then this thing in the middle, this represents both, or and. So this is both rubies and triangles, so that would just be 1 there. Let's have a look at a question with numbers. So we have 8, 11, and 13. So this circle here represents the students that are not hungry, and they skip breakfast. And this one here represents students that were too busy, so they skip breakfast. So how many students skip breakfast because they were not hungry? So this one here is the not hungry circle. So that means that there is 19 people who skip breakfast because they were not hungry. These people in the middle skipped breakfast because they were not hungry and they were too busy, but they still skip breakfast because they were not hungry. How many students skip breakfast because they were too busy? Well, this is the too busy. So these are the numbers that we need to add together. There would be 24. So how many skipped breakfast because of one reason? Well, these people here skipped breakfast because they were both not hungry and they were too busy. So they have 2 reasons. This person here skipped because they were too busy, and these people here skipped because they were not hungry. So you can see that these people have 1 reason, these people have 2, and these have 1 reason. So we would have to add the 8 and the 13, and that would be how many people skip breakfast because of 1 reason. Alright, so when we are going through questions, you'll see things that will be not using the word not in them. So what you need to do is you need to think about what the question's asking, and then circle something or highlight something accordingly or get rid of. So this question here asks, how many are not rubies? Well, this is the ruby circle, so we don't want them, so we can get rid of them. So how many are not rubies? How many gems are both ruby and triangles? Well, this would be the ruby and the triangle section. So your answer would be in there. How many gems are rubies that aren't triangular? So we want the ruby section. So we want the ruby circle, but are not triangular. So we don't want the triangle section. So you can see that the answer would just be 4, because we wanted the ruby circle, but we don't want the triangle circle. So let's have a look at this 3 Venn diagram. So this one has a bunch of movies that are classified into their genres. So these ones here, they're action movies. These ones in here are both action and comedy. These ones in here are both horror and comedy because they're in 2 circles. This one here in the middle, that's in 3, so it's in this circle, it's in this circle, and it's in this circle. So depending on where it is, says what genres it has and how many it has. So how many movies are horror films? Well, this is the horror circle. So you would need to add all the numbers in the horror circle. How many movies fit only into one genre? Well, as I mentioned before, these ones have 2 because they're in both this circle and that circle. So this one is just comedy, these ones are just action, and these ones are just horror. So these ones are in multiple circles, so they have multiple genres. These ones are only in one circle, so they only have one genre. How many movies are an action film combined with at least one other genre? So what are we after? We're after the action circle. We're after the action circle. But we want movies that have more than one genre. So we need the numbers that are in extra circles because these ones here are in 2 movies genres. These are in 3 and this one's in 2, but this one's only in 1. So we want at least one other genre. So this one's only in action, so we don't want it. So the numbers that are left are the ones that we would need to add together. Now, this one here is a multiple choice one. But you need to try to pick where would it go. So, numbers that are divisible by 7 and numbers that are even numbers. So, where would you place number 8? Well, you ask yourself, can 8 be divided by 7? Well, no. Doesn't give us a whole number, it gives us a decimal. Is 8 an even number? Well, yes, it is. So, we know that it's not divisible by 7. So let's get rid of that. But it is an even number, so it would go there. What about the number 13? So 13 divided by 7? Well, that doesn't work. So we get rid of the 7 circle. 13 is an odd number, so it doesn't go in the even circle. So we get rid of that. So that must mean that 13 would go out here on the outside. So if we were to say which area 13 would go, it would be this one here. It would be the one that has the outside because we don't want the middle. So we're trying to color in the area that you do want, but what I've done is I've crossed out the area that we don't want. Now this thing in here, I like to call this the flower petal. And I like to call this the center of the flower. So this I like to call the top of the flower, the left of the flower, and the right of the flower. So remember, this bit on the outside is just one thing. The petals of the flower are 2 things, and the center of the flower is all 3 things. So when you're going about this question, remember that this is in 2 circles, this one's in 2 circles, but this one is in 3 circles. So this one here is a little bit tricky. So you need to think about what do these share in common. So this one here, you can see they're all amethysts. So what would what's this common thing about all of these ones? Do they share a common color? Are they all the same color? Are they all the same shape? Well, I think hopefully you can see what the answer is there. Now, there was also one more that was about numbers. So you can have prime numbers, even numbers, odd numbers. That one's a bit of a tricky one. We will leave this one here. Hopefully that answers any questions that you might have. Good luck with the questions.